So the post office scandal is not going away, continues to throw up some uncomfortable questions. Right now, there should be several men and women in this country having some sleepless nights. I don't know about you, but I'm struggling still to get beyond the sheer dizzy levels of injustice of what happened here. It bothers me, either because of breathtaking incompetence or negligence, or who knows, quite possibly criminal behaviour. There are several people who need to be brought to task. The central players should be standing up in a courtroom to face the horrendous consequences of what they allowed to happen. People often talk about establishment cover-ups from time to time. There are some compelling and breathtaking stories of the little man versus the corporation. See Erin Brockovich for details. This story does have some similarities. It's a masterclass of the old boys network at play, from politicians to business leaders to old-school chums. There's a blindness to the possibility they might ever be wrong on anything. They mark their own homework. They close ranks when things go bad. For 700 innocent men and women, things went very bad. So let me just take you through a very basic list of how Britain works when it comes to those cosy relationships. So the former chief executive of the Post Office, as you well know, is Paula Venables. She earned £5 million and was handed a CBE back in 2018 by Theresa May for leading the privatisation of the Post Office. That privatisation began under David Cameron and George Osborne. George Osborne's best man was Peter Davis. He worked for a firm which made £36 million from the Royal Mail sell-off. The former Fujitsu UK chief executive is a man called Michael Keegan. He's the husband of Tory Education Secretary Gillian Keegan. He was in charge when the IT problems came to light. He now works mostly still for the government with the Ministry of Defence, managing different departments' contracts to ensure value for money. Former chairwoman Alice Perkins earned £100,000 a year from 2011 to 2015. She's married to Labour's former Home Secretary Jack Straw. There's Moya Green, the former chief exec of the Post Office. She earned a staggering £11.5 million and was made a dame in 2018. Honours again by Theresa May. The list could go on. Now, here's the question. Are all of this lot really the smartest guys in the room, or do they just kind of know the right people? Employing your mate is not a criminal offence. That's not the allegation here. But it does once again show us how governments so often take the easiest route rather than the best and most effective one. It's much easier to employ or recommend your mates or those who are serial holders of corporate jobs than it is to find the very best talent for that job. And this is where the problems really begin. It's quite clear that the Post Office has been run by a team of mediocre players who had no idea what to do when things went bad. They needed to protect their impressive salaries, their bonuses, their reputations at any cost. Paula Venables needs to come out from under her lavish rock and face the music. She was the head honcho. She made the crucial decisions. Did she really not know that something didn't add up? Was she that bad at her job that she couldn't spot systemic failures in her own systems? Handing back a gong from the palace isn't going to cut it. And what of Fujitsu? They're central to this story. It was their failure of their systems and software that led to this. And yet, since this story came to light, the government has continued to hand them contracts worth £3.7 billion. Can anyone with a straight face say that that's okay? We now have more questions than we do answers. With all of this in mind, who do you think is ultimately responsible for the Post Office scandal?